I've eaten more red meat this week than I think I ever have in my whole life.
Oh, really?
I'm not a red meat eater, but my husband is, so he's enjoyed it.
Well, how do you feel? Are you noticing a difference?
I've lost 4 pounds
Boom.
and I had a bad headache. I don't know if it's because I've drastically reduced sugar. I miss ice cream. That's about it.
Yeah, that definitely could be. So something to think about too is making sure that you're staying hydrated, but making sure that your salt balance is in check too. So add some salt if you're reducing a lot of carbs, especially lower quality carbs like sugars and stuff like that. Then just making sure that you're salting your food can go a long way. So that could be some of the headaches there too, or you could be going through withdrawals from maybe some sugar detox, quote unquote, like type deal. But
No, like the sugar-free stuff. Like I like the plain yogurt or
Mhm.
the yogurt with a little bit of sugar-free whipped cream. It's not truly sugar-free, I'm guessing.
It depends on what it is. The stuff that says sugar free, you have to look at the label because a lot of times they'll say sugar free, but it'll have like cane syrup, which they won't call like sugar, but it's still sugar. Or
Well, corn syrup.
right, it's all kind of sugar, you know. So it just goes by several different names so that people read the label and go, "Oh, cool, no sugar." You know what the real no sugar stuff will have a lot of times is artificial sweeteners, and I don't know, those are hot topic in the fitness space right now because you get some people talking about them and they're like, well, it doesn't really matter if you use them or not because they are 0 calorie or 0 sugar. So if all we're looking at is caloric balance, you know, and creating a caloric deficit, then like it doesn't really matter. And there are other people that are really like those things are awful. They're terrible. They mess up your gut. They cause bloating and inflammation and that kind of stuff. And there's really no like hard and fast research to support that I've seen. But I don't know. There's a lot of smart people. So there's a lot of smart people that say they don't like them. There's a lot of smart people that say that it doesn't matter. So I don't know.
I've definitely been in a caloric deficit this week. I bumped up because you had bumped up my protein. I am struggling to meet the 150 protein. My carbs and my fat, I do all right.
Yeah.
My protein. Yesterday, I got 133. I left my laptop at school, so I had to put it all in tomorrow. I got to 133 yesterday and about 118 today. I haven't looked.
Okay.
But
Still got some time left.
I'm full. And I'm going because my 8 hours started 4 minutes ago.
Okay.
At like 4:30. What was I going to say? I don't remember. But
All right. You said about 150. And what did we have set?
you set me at 150 for protein. And before, I thought I was eating a lot of protein before.
Yeah.
And I would lucky at the end of the day, I'd be lucky if I hit about 100 grams of protein.
Right.
The last 3 days, I've definitely hit above 100 grams. Yesterday, I was at like 133, 135 grams.
Mm-hmm.
Today, like 118, I think.
Okay.
I got yogurt here.
All right. Yesterday we were at 130 and your carbs and fat were within range too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we were about perfect yesterday. How'd you feel yesterday?
I felt really good yesterday. And actually this whole week, because I've been having a lot of gut problems and I haven't felt bloated. I haven't felt like, because I usually drink about a half gallon to a gallon of water every day. That's never been a problem for me. The bloating I haven't had issues with. And yesterday I felt really good. And yesterday I had a lot of energy and I got a lot of shit done.
How do you feel today?
I felt really good today. Like I was able to do my heroic minute this morning.
Yeah.
And I got up and went to church and I've noticed my mood has been better too. And I'm kind of in that week before my period. when it's really bad. But I have second and third graders for Sunday school, and they didn't like, I didn't want to kill them all. So we'll see how I do with my high schoolers tomorrow.
That may be another story. through
But
no fault of your own.
I feel good. Well, it's the last week of school, so we'll see.
Yeah, so some of that is like, when you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants with nutrition specifically, but kind of everything, right? When you're kind of like up and down and there's not as much of a plan, you start to just kind of like react to what's in front of you, and rather than like having a calculated response, it's more of just like a reaction to things. And then our emotions kind of like rule our day. And again, like if we just put it in the context of nutrition, like I know how I get is a lot of times, like if I don't have a plan, right, and then something happens to me during the day, I'm like, oh fuck it, like I'm ordering pizza tonight. Like that happens. My emotions will get the best of me, and I'll be like, I didn't have a plan. Now my emotions are dictating something, and now I'm like, all right, whatever, man. I'm just gonna go ahead and order the pizza. Like that happens to me if I don't have a plan. So like making sure, and you talk about like, oh, I didn't want to kill these kids today. Like, okay, so that might be just like harnessing more control over your environment. It might have nothing to do with food, but you're just controlling more aspects of your day. So it makes you more emotionally in control of every aspect of your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that said, it absolutely could also be like regulating your calories day to day to day. It could cause you to have a sustained mood or more like stability and control of everything, from an energy standpoint too. So it could be multifaceted, but the bottom line is having a good result, right?
Yes, because at the beginning, I told Tiffany, I was like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. And I said, I can't, like, I felt obsessive with my food. But when I stepped on the scale this morning, I was like, oh shit, that's like, I'll give it another week, but I'll finish.
So you didn't want to do like the tracking anymore?
I didn't want to track. I didn't want to worry about food. I hate cooking. And I had to, the first couple of nights, I had to cook my food. And then I had to cook macaroni and cheese because my husband is picky eater. My daughter is whatever, but I cooked macaroni and cheese for them. And I'm like, that looks really good. I really want to eat that. But it wasn't in my like plan for the day.
Right.
So I made my food and then I made their food, and he doesn't eat fish. So I made fish for my daughter and then I had to make something for him. And he always tells me, I'll make whatever. I'll make my own food, but it's the one thing I can do for him is cook him dinner. So
yeah, so that's another dynamic that like, so you have, it's like a biopsychosocial model, right? Is like everything that we're talking about here. So like what you're talking about is the social component, and like that's a factor that you can't ignore. Now there are ways that you can kind of like ease people into it and like make them think that it's their idea, and like all kinds of stuff that you could do, because if you're making the food, you're pulling a lot of the levers on like, hey, this is kind of like, this is your dinner. So introducing new food options along with the old options might be a way to kind of like ease everybody into it. And then too, having a conversation maybe at some point, like, hey, the same thing's true of like people that quit smoking. Like people that quit smoking and their spouse quits too, like they have way more results, like way better success rate and sustainability rate. So saying like, hey, this is really important for me. Like, what do you think? Would you mind like trying something different for dinner? Because like this stuff is not on my plan, and it's really hard for me to be around this, or to watch everybody eat this food, or watch you eat this food. And I would like some too, because it is hyper palatable, low quality food. Like when the kids are eating macaroni here, like I want it. And sometimes I eat it, and I know that's not on the game plan, but it's like, man, it's really hard to say no to that stuff when it's right in front of your face. So and I was planning on talking about this tonight anyway, but like removing hurdles, right? So how can we remove hurdles so we see into the future based on the past, right? So this is a good example of like what hurdles do we see this week that we ran into last week, right? So if this is one of them, it's like, all right, how do we remove some hurdles of like, hey, the macaroni isn't on the game plan, at least for the next 3 weeks. How do we stay away from that, or how do we not get pulled into the trap, right? Because like I'm telling you right now, week 4, that's going to be a lot harder to say no to because we're going to be in all deficit days.
Which I feel like all my days are deficit. I mean, where my calories I think are just over 2,000, and I'm definitely not hitting that. But I don't feel hungry, and I don't feel like the days that I'm lifting. Like I moved today's to tomorrow just because I had so much going on today with Mother's Day. So tomorrow when I'm lifting, I definitely like on my plan is to up my calories, but or not my calorie. Well, definitely my calories, but my protein.
Okay. All right. So I guess let's go into the numbers this week then. All right. So your A days, right? Those are your days that we had last week. Okay. So like yesterday was a great example of an A day. That's like an ideal A day right there. Right.
Okay.
So this week we're going to go A, and then B, right? On the B day, we're going to go 20% reduction across the board. Okay. So really, let's just use protein for right now. So we're at 150 times 0.2. That gives you 30. 150 minus 30 is 120. There you go. So we're at 120 grams of protein for that day, along with the same process with carbs and fats. So it's going to take your total calories down, right? So we go A day, B day down 20%, and then the next day we're back up to an A. Does that make sense?
Now, are you matching the A days and the B days with days that you lift?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Doesn't matter at all. The reduction won't really make a huge impact as far as like performance. Really, you could feel a little sluggish, but I really don't think you will, because really you're eating more than you have been before. So it's like you're in a deficit kind of, but you're also kind of in a surplus, not surplus, but you're just eating more than you're used to, So I don't anticipate you having any like reduction or, negative feelings from it. Now in 2 or 3 weeks, as we increase those deficits, like you'll probably start to get hungry. So just be aware. That's probably going to happen. So the way that we did this, we got to bring you up in order to bring you back down. So it's more of a reverse diet than anything. Now, this is a very short reverse diet. In like a real reverse diet, we'd probably spend more time kind of building you back up to a maintenance level and then bring you back down. So we're just kind of doing it a little bit quicker because it's a shorter term process here.
Makes sense.
So that's the way to structure that. I think if you felt good on the numbers yesterday, those are the numbers we tried to hit on our A days. And then on our B days, we're just boom, down 20%. And really, if you just wanted to focus on dropping carbs and fat and still hitting between 120 and 140, 150 protein, like that'd probably be okay too. And we just drop the carbs and fat, 20%.
Yeah, that's sneaky.
The fats are?
Yeah.
Yes, they always are. They always catch up with you.
I mean, I've been managing to stay just right where I need to be. I'm like, I don't even feel like I ate like anything fatty, but it's like I have avocados in the morning, every morning, and eggs every morning.
Yeah.
Now, lunch meat, is lunch meat an issue? Because I know that can be some people don't like it.
No, it's not an issue. The only issue is if you have like a fattier cut of meat, like if you have like roast beef versus like turkey, it's going to up your fats. So just being aware of how much dietary fat you're getting. Yeah, just because it's calorically dense. It's very dense with calories. So any fats that you have is gonna like just, I mean, you don't have a ton of it. So you just have to monitor from a calorie standpoint, how much you're getting. That's all. But yeah, lunch meat's fine.
Okay, because I got ham and turkey.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I use that stuff all the time. That's primarily what I pack for the kids for lunches is turkey sandwiches. I really like from Costco they've got like a 3-pack of roast beef, ham, and it's a rotisserie chicken. It's all lunch meat. But yeah, I really like that one. So I use that. I buy 2 or 3 of those at a time.
Well, I like the turkey with the Laughing Cow cheese
Yeah,
for snack, but
just got to watch dairy. And really, if you wanted to remove that, like that'd probably be something to think about. Definitely in the next like couple weeks as we start to again like stair step down. You're going to run out of room for cheese. Like dairy's.
I don't hardly eat. Yogurt is most of the, and I'll do the Laughing Cow cheese like a couple times a week. But I try to rotate my snacks so I don't get bored.
Gotcha.
But the yogurt is pretty much the main because I can't drink milk, and I use almond milk like if I make a shake for after I work out. Because
Mhm.
you said the proteins. That's the only time I do the whey protein is. Well, I guess that's milk, but
Yeah, that's dairy, but the whey protein post training is a lot easier to be absorbed based on that like that window after exertion.
well, and I can do the whey protein is fine, but if I do whey protein with milk for like after I work out, it tears me up.
Yeah, don't
So
do that.
it's
Just do water.
yeah.
It just makes
Well,
it.
I'll do water or I'll do the almond milk just because I have it and I don't want to waste it.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you to waste food.
Nuts, no nuts. I know you said no nuts because this peanut butter is killing me.
Yeah, peanut butter is highly inflammatory. It is super highly inflammatory. It's really not. A lot of people, I have this argument more often than I wish I had to. Like peanuts are not protein. I have no clue why people think that it is protein. Like peanut butter is not a protein source. It is a fat and it is a bean. It is a legume. And if you look at like, I don't know if I talked about this last week or not, but if you look at what is it? The Dirty Dozen, the list of like dirtiest foods in all of the food industry, peanuts are always up there. They're always very, very high in molds. So I don't do a ton of peanuts.
But they're so damn good. I could eat a whole jar of peanut butter.
Yeah, and most of that's highly processed stuff too. So I mean, keep that in mind. Like I'm not sure what kind of peanut butter you're referring to, but if it's like
The natural.
stuff, yeah, and that stuff's not as bad. But like, man, I remember being in college and just like eating Jif with a spoon.
Well, so it was Teacher Appreciation Week last week, and one of my kids knows I love peanut butter, so she got me a jar of peanut butter and a spoon.
Oh, nice. He said, thank you. I'm going to put this right here in the trash.
With all I passed up all the donuts, all the free lunches that they sent out. They had chicken, and I did eat the chicken, but there was and candy.
Yeah.
Be fat.
Yeah.
And get crappy insurance. So they just feed us crap and give us shitty insurance.
I mean, it honestly makes you start to question stuff like that, and it makes you really realize how much people eat on just autopilot. And it's like they don't even think about it. It just becomes like mindless consumption. It's not purposeful at all. But again, like you have to account for like the biopsychosocial model and that like food is emotional and you can't separate that out. Like a kid buys you something, you can't just take it directly and throw it in the trash. And sometimes it is appropriate just to eat the damn peanut butter and call it a day. Is it going to wreck things in the long term? No, it won't. But at the same time, there are times to be really, really strict with things. And there's times when you have to learn to be flexible. And it's like, where are you in the realm of like flexibility versus rigidity, you know? And when you're starting a new endeavor, you know, it's like we have to develop some really hard sets of skill sets and mindsets so that you can own the flexibility later. And that's like, it's knowing when it's time for what. Because the worst thing I see is people that learn how to do all this stuff and then come like holidays or, I mean, summer's coming up, it's going to be lake season. And, you know, if you go anywhere that is like requires you not to be carrying bags of chicken breast and broccoli around, like you're doing it wrong if you're doing that. However, if every weekend you are going and derailing yourself on a health, fitness, and nutrition standpoint because you're drinking and eating crap all weekend long, then you're also doing it wrong. So it's like you have to find a balance between all of it and then know when it's time to be rigid and when it's time to be flexible. So does that make sense?
Yeah, because I was thinking about that today because my daughter wanted to go out to dinner. My husband and I went out to dinner the other night and I did really well. We went to Texas Roadhouse. I stuck with meat and vegetables and I didn't eat those delicious rolls. And and then today my daughter wanted to take me out to dinner and I still was able to make healthy choices, but it was like I was prepared to not make healthy choices today just because she was buying me lunch with her first job money, and so I wasn't going to tell her no, I can't eat it. But I did pretty well. I still we did Chipotle, and I was still able to I didn't get what I normally get, but I was still able to make good decisions.
Oh, for sure. Chipotle's easy, right? So stuff like Chipotle, Texas Roadhouse, like anywhere that you can get. So let's start Texas Roadhouse, right? So you didn't do the rolls. Awesome. Because those are like super high in fat and butter, very, very sugary, very, very like not sugary, but like very high glycemic carb, right? It's just bread. And it's really, really good. Very high fat because the butter, and that'll take all your calories and like explode them through the roof. But what can you get? You can get grilled chicken there. You can get a steak. You could get a potato, you know, with maybe just a little bit of butter, depending on how much fat you have left, or no butter, you know, and just salt. That's still really good there because they have so much seasoning on everything. So, you know, and then veggies, right? So if like you get a potato, a sweet potato, you know, like either one of those, a steak, some chicken, you know, like good to go, done. You know, you just can't, this is the filler. Like you can't have the filler, you know, that's the stuff that derails you. And alcohol, like that's the stuff that's like, oh man, like we didn't need those things, and now it's like boom, we're blowing things up. So it sounds like you navigated that pretty well. And then Chipotle, like that's kind of an easy one too, because you just get like the components. You just take the components that you need, you leave out the components that you don't. And say you're high on fat that day, like you just don't throw in the guac, and you save like 75 cents or whatever it is. So
well, and I the guac because I had room for it, and yeah, just chicken, rice, guac, and some vegetables.
Done, right? Done. So totally manageable. Now let's do an experiment just so we kind of know what flexibility looks like, right? So a lot of times, you know, I'll use the concept of like 80-20, right? And I wish I invented this, but other people way smarter than me did the 80-20 rules for everything. If you are on your game 80% of the time, right, things are going to be okay. You're going to make progress, right? So what does that mean? Like 80%. Sometimes it's like, man, well, okay, well, I guess I think I'm at 80%, but maybe I'm at 70% or maybe I'm at 90%. So if we just empirically make it by meal. So how many meals do you eat in a day?
3.
3. And how many days are there in the week?
7.
7. So that's 21 meals a week, right? Times 0.2, 4.2, sorry. Four, 17. So we have like 4.5 meals that we can basically say, yeah, I'm okay with not being perfect here, you know, or I'm okay with like being more flexible. Like we got 4 meals a week, And if you know that you eat 3 meals a day, you can take those meals and you say, I got 4 of them. Like, where do I want to place those through the week? And that way, it's just like budget, right? It's just like a budget. If you know you have a vacation coming up, you're not going to spend frivolously on, XYZ coming up before you're spending money on this thing. So it's just spending your nutritional budget where you need to. And again, that goes back to kind of what we talked about, like straight out of the gate, like having a plan, following the plan, controlling the factors that you can control. So you look at that and say, even if you wanted to say, all right, maybe I'm gonna have some rolls tonight, right? You just take one of those meals, you plug it in there, boom, done. Like, okay, it wasn't perfect, but I'm still like 80-90% good. And then you just got to make sure you follow through with your other 80% or 90% or whatever. And then if you want to, as your goals, as you progress, if you're like, I'd really like to tighten up this, right? Then you take that 80% and you say, all right, those 4 meals are now going to go down to 2 because I'm going to be like 85% or 90% or 95%. Like I'm going to be really tight now. So now you only get 2 meals or 1 meal a week, that you can kind of like splurge on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But it's really,
I've been doing kind of naturally anyway. So
yeah, that's what everybody does. It's called intuitive, right? The intuitive eating. Everybody's kind of intuitive with it, but what happens is we just kind of like let it get lax. It just kind of gets a little bit more lax than it should be. So it takes that 80% and really makes it like 65 or 70, which isn't like, that's when you really start to slow progress or backslide. Once you get like on the downside of like, down into the 70s and stuff like that. It's just like school. Like, hey, if you're getting a B, you're probably doing okay. You could push a little harder and get an A if you really wanted to, but B's are okay. C's, okay, now we're just kind of middle of the road. And if you're getting a D, like, okay, you're not even trying. So that's what I tell my kids anyway.
sounds like what I tell my daughter regularly.
Listen,
When she's about to just like, listen, you only got 2 weeks left. Just fucking get to the end. We're almost there. And then you never go to school if you want.
Cool. All right. So anything else about nutrition?
No, I'm a little apprehensive about this coming week, but I've got a plan. And I think if I stick to the plan and I'm a little flexible, it'll be fine.
What are you apprehensive about?
Because I have 2 nights. I have Tuesday night and Thursday night where I'm coming home late because I work for the athletic department after school.
Mm-hmm.
And then those are the nights where I'm like, I'm so tired. I don't want to cook. Let's order Little Caesars. But I'm prepared. I've got meals prepped. So really, it's just like 10 minutes to cook it or heat it up, and I should be okay. And then just working out that week too, because if I can get into the school gym, it's fine. But if the baseball team or whoever's in the gym, then I can't get in there. But it's the last week of school, so hopefully it should be fine.
Okay. All right. So let's kind of go through this a little bit. So you're coming home late. What will you be doing while you are out at work still? Like, is it something that you can bring the food with you? Is it something that you can have, like we can put like a smoothie together so you can just kind of have it as you go? Like,
well, yeah, I could probably do a smoothie because I'm working with the baseball team. And it's really kind of like sometimes I'm just selling tickets. Sometimes I'm doing the concessions. Sometimes I'm helping the coaches like organize kids. But they're they're mostly juniors and seniors. They're pretty self-sufficient, but sometimes.
Okay. All right. So you could be pretty busy. It's kind of moving around a lot. It sounds like so bringing food might not be the best option because you might not be able to get it in. Is that accurate?
A shake, I could probably do a shake, but it's just like I teach an hour away. So a shake I can always have like in between, because I have about an hour in between the end of school and then the beginning of the baseball where I have to be out the baseball diamond. And I was going to use that as my workout time because I can get in if I can get into the gym, which shouldn't be. But I also have a home gym too, so a pretty decent home gym. So I can always work out after and then use that hour to eat something. But So it's flexible, but it's just different for me because normally I would just wait till I got home to eat with my husband but I'd be tired.
So here's what I would recommend, just so you don't have like an error based on fatigue, right? So I would take like at least half of the food that you're eating at the end of the night, and I would split it up earlier in the day. So I would get at least the protein, right? I would get the protein in earlier, heavier, because you know you're going to be busy and you know you're going to be tired and you know you're probably not going to want to eat like regular, like plain old chicken breast or whatever, like at the end of the night, or at least not even prepare it. Like I probably wouldn't either. So know that it's like, all right, what's the likelihood that this is going to happen when I get home from, all the sports stuff at the end of the night? Probably not very high. So if we take those numbers and we split it out earlier through the day, we'll get our protein in early. And then at the end of the night, if you need something, you can take like some collagen peptides, like that vital protein stuff I was talking about, or you can just do like
that goes in my coffee every morning.
You could do you have the flavored stuff or just unflavored?
It's unflavored.
So you can mix that in anything, but I really like they have a lemon flavored one and a chocolate one, and they're both really, really good. But those will mix up fine in water. And you could even do like a protein shake if you were hungry at the end of the night and you're like, oh man, I'm pretty hungry. I could use some more protein. I really don't want to, like make anything. Like you could probably just do a protein shake, then too. And that way you're not eating anything heavy at the end of the night, so it'll be digested relatively well. So that's an option there if you just wanted to take the edge off, or you could just be done eating, and get your food in earlier and not eat. That would be fine too. So you got a lot of options, but I just wouldn't wait. Don't try to do your normal scheduled stuff and try to squeeze it in how it normally does, because it's not going to happen. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just have a plan how to split that up earlier, and then have a contingency plan if it doesn't go how you thought it was.
Yep, that sounds good.
Cool.
I can do that.
And then if you can get in and work out, bonus points. If you can't, just make sure you're getting some steps in. If you're helping the baseball team, you'll be outside, so hopefully you can move around at least a little bit.
I'm constantly moving, and I really that's my favorite part of the day. So I don't want to get rid of that at all.
No, I wouldn't recommend that at all. So that's awesome. Sounds great.
Your circuits, the beginning of the circuits are rough. But I feel like, I hate them so much. but I do them. I had such a long, because I used to lift all the time. And then I had some cardiac issues last year. And the doctor said no lifting for a while. Then he cleared me back in October. But I hadn't lifted since October till last week. I could hardly walk last week, but I did it. I still worked out. I did it, but it's my favorite thing. I love it. I've got a pretty decent home gym here, and then I go to Iron Society. So between the two, it's my favorite thing.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, keep in mind, the circuits at the top part, those are just warm-ups. So just make sure you're treating them like warm-ups. You don't have to go 100 miles an hour through those.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Because I hate them, but I'll still. But the lifting part, I really liked the sumo deadlifts, and when I can get the barbell out, I love that.
Sweet. Good. You can always post some lifts. And actually, I was going to ask, I'm going to ask for some feedback with just getting some video of some of the workouts that you're doing. And I'm asking some other people that too. So yeah, you can post that in the network. That's probably the easiest place to do that. Post a lift in the network, especially if you got something that you're like, hey, I wouldn't mind some eyes on this deadlift or this squat. Could I have made this better? Is this okay? Is this what you're looking for? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sumo deadlift, I was questioning my form, because deadlift I do all right, but I've never done the sumo deadlift, and those Cossack squats were weird. I liked them, but I don't think I got very as low as I should have. But
it's more, at least for me anyway, the Cossack squat is more just to get things moving like laterally versus always like up and down and linear. I mean, it's still kind of linear, but at least it's working side to side and not just up and down and front and back.
Well, in the inverted row, I could not do a single one of those. But I did lat pull downs instead.
Okay. All right. That's not a terrible sub. Well, how were you doing the inverted row? How did you have it set up?
So I had my bar down and it had your foot elevate, like your feet were supposed to be elevated. Well, I took that away because I was like, I could not do it at all. And I was able to like squeak out like maybe one, but I couldn't get like two solid good rows.
Okay. All right. So your angle is probably too much like that. So if we can move it up like that, that'll make it easier. If you can if you're going to ISG, I'm sure they have a Smith machine.
Yeah.
You just take the bar and put it up higher so your angle's more like that.
And I have a power rack, but it's not great. I mean, it's good. I like it for my like back squats, but it's just that the bar catcher, I don't know. I'm going to have my husband move stuff around because I can't move like that. The bars that catch it if you drop, that's probably right where I need to be.
Yeah, so you can adjust that, or you can just take the J cups that hold the bar, and then you can just use it right in there and just move those up. That's the easier way to do it. Is you just move those up and down, and then adjust the height accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's easier. Then you don't have to get the spotter arms out and adjust them all up. Like that's probably a better way to do it, but it's fine. Just make it work however you can. But that Smith machine, I have the football team that I'm coaching. I have those kids do that. They do all their rows, all their inverted rows on the Smith machine. That way they can just adjust it real quick.
I'll do that next time then. Because I was all excited to try these new exercises, and I was like, this fucking sucks.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of a learning curve if you've never done some of that stuff. That's why it's like, don't hesitate to ask, like, what does this mean, or how can I set this up? Because that'll take the time down, and keep you pushing through the work rather than getting stuck on like, man, how do I set this up?
Yeah. Well, and I'm not afraid to ask questions at the gym, so they probably think I'm crazy.
All right. Anything else with workouts? Cool. So hopefully this week you won't be as sore. And let's get some videos posted up in the network.
I can try tomorrow because I plan on lifting tomorrow. Like the stuff on for today, I'll be doing tomorrow. So
cool.
And I haven't looked what you have planned. So I try not to look too far ahead because then I start thinking about it too much.
Well, you can always look ahead. I mean, it's there. It's posted out for a reason. You can look ahead and be like, hey, I have no clue what these things are. Most of them have videos plugged in that are pretty good. But what's that?
I YouTube them a lot. And my sister's a personal trainer out in Missouri. And I ask her a lot I'm like, what is this? Or she checks my form a lot.
Oh, cool. Good deal.
I can definitely put some videos in tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be helpful. All right. So anything else about workouts?
Nope.
Cool. So we covered workouts, we covered nutrition. This is going to sound kind of goofy, but just stay with me on it. Like the mindset piece for tonight. Hey, knock it off. The mindset piece for tonight, I'm stealing it from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I don't know. Are you a superhero fan at all?
Oh, we just watched it.
You did? You watched Guardians?
Oh yeah, we cried like a baby.
I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. But I really liked that scene that when Rocket was about to die. I'm probably spoiler alert in this for a lot of people. But he saw it. He saw his old friends, right? And what did she say? She said that this was your story all along. And that is such like a powerful thing to remember, is like, this is your story. This is yours. And so often we get tied into these ideas like, oh, I'm like a role player in this grand like drama that's unfolding, and this is other people's stories, it's other people's stuff, it's yours, you know. And if you don't step into that role and own the fact like this is your story, and it is playing out like for you, and you have to be an active participant in that to make that happen. And like I just really like that about that. And if you get into it all, like the psychology behind that, and where like Joseph Campbell, he did a ton of work with the hero's journey. That's his big thing, was like the hero's journey, and the different parts of that, like that is a real big factor with it. It's like this is your story, you're the hero. So remember that for this week. All right,
Awesome.
cool. Anything else?
I'm good.
All right.
Waiting
All right.
for my.
Huh?
I thought my dog was coming in. He's huge. This is a German Shepherd. Is yours a German Shepherd?
No, come here. Here, let me put this thing down. This is, yeah. He looks like it, but he's actually a husky.
Oh.
Yeah.
Driveway.
Yep.
Also have a little mock dog and a German Shepherd, but I thought him, but he'll live outside, and we're getting the pool ready to open, and that's his favorite thing.
Yep. And there's this one.
Oh.
So get out of here, guys. All right. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on tonight. And yeah, let me know if you got any questions this week, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
See ya.